Welcome back to another episode of the Happy Clients podcast. On this episode, we are introducing you to Danny from Optage. Optage is a marketing agency similar to yours that has a really strong reputation in the work that they do and the results that they provide. In this episode, you are going to learn how Danny started his agency from scratch and now is scaling a team. He's brought on a specific role so he can focus his strengths and really step into that visionary seat. It's quite remarkable what he's done with his agency in the last few years, and after interviewing him, we were both sitting here super inspired and excited about the growth over here as well. So in this episode, you'll get a boost of confidence to really just keep pushing through and going after listening to this episode. I know you as an agency owner are going to get so much out of this episode, so let's get into it and meet Danny from Optage.
Welcome to the Happy Clients podcast, brought to you by Dot & Company. Whether you're a virtual assistant, an agency owner, or a client-facing account manager, we all deal with clients. Lucky for you, client management is what we do best. Now, let's dig in, chat cam life, and have some fun along the way. Cheers to Happy Clients.
Well, Danny, let's get into it. I want to hear all about you and Optage and all about what you guys do over there. So why don't you fill us in?
Yeah, sure. I grew up in a family of immigrants. My parents left South Africa and came to the United States in the mid-'80s, and I was a little baby. And I think that is just a huge part of who I am, because they literally came with, I think, $2,000 in their pockets. And I grew up in an immigrant family, number one, but number two, also entrepreneurs as well. Like my dad always worked for himself. So I kind of had that grounding. An interesting, additional just information. My family has been in the diamond industry for over 6 generations. So I'm kind of like number 6. We can talk about that later, but obviously that's not what I do these days. But yes, but I come from a long line of diamantiers, as they say. We started off in Amsterdam, and then my great grandfather came to South Africa before World War II to teach people how to cut diamonds, and thank God, saved hints in his life and everything. And then, eventually we came to Houston, out of all places, right? Houston, Texas, kind of strange. So I guess the journey really starts, I would say, when I was in middle school. My parents went online. They launched their first website in 1999, selling diamonds over the internet, which is pretty crazy, right? Really early.
Mm-hmm. That is
so
early.
I grew up. Yeah, so just naturally, I grew up in this environment. I think I built their website in 7th or 8th grade.
Stop. That is cool.
So kind of touched these things early on in life. It definitely helped me move forward. So I guess moving forward from there, undergrad, I actually am an ordained rabbi. And that's because religion is important to me in my life, but I never really wanted religion to be like how I made money. So after I left rabbinical school, I decided to go to get my MBA from the University of Houston. And it was kind of funny, like, what, a rabbi business? That doesn't make sense. But it was always like a great discussion topic. And while I was doing my MBA, I took some really, really good courses, practical. Like a lot of people, like they want to get that marketing certificate or this certificate. And I was like, I don't care about certificates. Let's take those courses that are really going to make a difference to me. At least I thought. So I took like database management and customer relationship management, advanced Excel, all things that like didn't add to that perfect certificate, but were really good skills that you're able to get. I also took classes that provided practical experience. So I did 2 classes where I worked with real life businesses. So I already got into like that consulting side of agency mode. Another aspect is I had a really good internship with blinds.com between my first and second years, which is a really top e-com company. Eventually they were purchased by Home Depot. But adding all those experiences together, when I left my MBA, the dream when you get a graduate degree, especially an MBA, is like, I'm going to get a 6-figure salary from a Fortune 500 company, and that's going to mean that I'm successful. And sadly, I didn't have that opportunity, but it was really a blessing in disguise. And what ended up happening was, at that point, I decided to join the family business to help them up. And at that point, they were in their like 2nd or 3rd sort of website, and I was helping them out. But on the side, it gave me the liberty to start consulting in digital marketing. The CEO from blinds.com was actually really good to me. Like whenever he had friends and things like that, he started sending people, hey, I know this really cool young guy, he knows a lot about digital marketing, he can help you. And that really started like my practice of Optage. So Optage started back in 2011, which was really just a single man consultancy and me doing like little projects here and there. So yeah, I've been talking a lot.
No, yeah, that's so cool.
That's what we want. Yeah.
That's So you went from a one-person show in 2011. So how did you get fast forward to 2021 to now you have a team and you're scaling and growing? So fill us in, like what's happened in the last 10 years?
Sure. So my family was looking for a web developer because we built like an e-commerce store using WordPress and like this funky database management CRM. It was like a Frankenstein of a monster. And we got to a point where it worked so well, we needed to get a web developer to actually create a website. We found a guy, really cool dude, I would say 1 or 2 years older than me, but also like young. And we really hit it off. And he's like, wow, Danny, you really know a lot about digital marketing. Why don't you come into my business and create a digital marketing department? We'll have a really good partnership. I'll bring the business, you create the department, and everything will look really good. And that relationship lasted really well for about 5 years to about the end of 2016. At that point in time, he was growing his company. They were focusing more on Fortune 100 companies. I was focusing more on that small to medium-sized business. And the relationship got to its end. But he was really good to me and gave me the opportunity to take my projects with me, as well as take any of my staff with me. And some of my staff didn't want to move. They're like, no, like they don't know. Like this basically going from like big company to like startup, we don't even know what's going to happen. But one person, Carly, she came with me, and that was 2017. And literally, I'm not even joking, but like a couple days later, like phones started ringing. And I was like, hey, Danny, can you do this or that? I wouldn't tell people that suddenly it rebirthed again, but it really did. And it was like, I'm a big believer, obviously, in God. When you create a vessel and that opportunity, then God fills the blessings, right? And that's really what I felt was the situation. So like to fast forward, literally, bam, it started. And over the past 4 or 5 years, we've gone from me and Carly to now 8 full-time employees, as well as a bunch of contractors. So our team is 16 plus. And it's really 98% of our business is referral. And it's just doing a really good job. And when someone asks their friend, hey, do you know someone? That's, yeah, they just refer us, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's
I
amazing.
actually have a question, Danny, because I feel like be of the same demographic. But even when I was in school and taking PR school, we did our like marketing module or, course or whatever. There was no sort of digital marketing. Like there was definitely Facebook, but like that paid piece was definitely not what it is. If it was there, it was like boost your post or whatever, right? So how did you sort of go from the early phases, maybe doing a little web dev, to really learning like ins and outs of ads and advertising?
Yeah, that's a great question. And then I've got like an additional point to add on to that. But really, it was just diving into it and finding those opportunities, right? So like the first account that you get to work on, you don't really know, but then you learn it and you build from there. Also, what I found in my sort of success, it's really about finding the right people and building them up. So let's say, in general, I like to tell people, and people are familiar with the concept of a T-shaped marketer, right? Which T-shaped marketer means, if you're a good marketer, it means that most of the areas of marketing, you have a pretty good idea about. And you can direct a team, you could potentially direct another agency, but most people find that 1 or 2 areas where they really become an expert in, right? So for me, that's more SEO, actually, search engine optimization, and maybe I would say analytics as well. So when it comes to like the paid advertising, like Google ads and Facebook ads, I know a lot about them, but the success of, let's say, the agency of Optage is really about finding the right individuals and then guiding them, because my title is chief strategist. And that's because I like to provide the strategy no matter what the platform is. Now, I might not know all the ins and outs and all the things, but I can sit down with you, look at the data, critically think a problem. What should we do? Where to go? But maybe the in and out of the platform, it's impossible for me to be a Facebook ad expert and a Google ad expert and all these different things. So that's where it's like finding the right people to be the experts in the company. And obviously me maintaining my knowledge so that I never out of it, but really leaning on those experts in order to build the company and build those departments.
That's so smart. And I think that sort of evolution is even what you were doing all those years ago, as, after becoming a rabbi, going back to school, you're finding what needs to be done to get that strategy in place and the tools you need, which is really cool. And I think it's really important to even have that base and understanding of not only business, but like strategy for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why, like, when you're dealing with an agency, there's so many parts, right? And a lot of people like don't know what's involved, right? It's the strategy, it's the business, it's the HR, it's the payroll.
Mhm.
It's like the 401k plan, which you didn't realize that you had to do this or that. And yeah, there's a lot involved,
Yeah.
but I embrace it with joy.
And I love that you built the team. So what's kind of the go-to plan for finding these unicorns?
Ooh, so this is going to be my big secret.
Let me
So
grab my pen.
yeah, you definitely need to. Back in 2010, or even before then, I'm really big into education and teaching. And actually, before I got married, like my wife said, "Hey, Danny, so what are you going to do?" And this was like before the MBA. Oh, you know what? Well, I want to get a master's in education and I want to be a principal of an elementary school. And she turned to me and she's like, I don't know about that, Danny. I don't know if that's going to work out for us. I think you could do a little better than that. So, okay, let's choose something else. But that passion of teaching has always been there for me, and I love it. So miraculously, in 2015, 2016, the University of Houston invited me back into the classroom to teach because they said, just like what you said, Katie and Taylor, it's kind of like, if you want to teach digital marketing in the university level, it can't be these theoretical PhDs. It has to be people who actually know what they're doing to be able to give these skills over to the students. So that's exactly where we're like, man, if we're going to teach digital marketing and want to up the level of the education, we need to have a practitioner. And because I had a relationship with the head of the marketing department, they invited me back to, hey, Danny, can you come and can you teach? So I've been teaching master's level digital marketing to MBA students and MS marketing students for the past 6 years. So what's my secret? I have classrooms of budding talent where I'm able to choose the best students. And 75% of my full-time staff are ex-students of mine. And it's kind of like a cheat code, but thank God, it's really worked out well for me. And there's so much there to unpack. But yeah, that's how I've been primarily building my business.
That's the first time we've heard that on our podcast.
Yeah. Very smart. Yeah.
Very smart. That's awesome. And so when you're growing your team and building this agency, Danny, what's been kind of the biggest aha moment of, I didn't expect this to happen when growing an agency? Where's been kind of those struggle points or something sticky points that you didn't really anticipate?
So I think what's been the hardest part for me, and now recently I've overcome, is being able to let go. When you're at the top of the agency, you have such a responsibility to make sure that everything is going right. And the problem is, as you grow your team, then it's a bigger responsibility. And the more clients you get, the bigger responsibility. And if you take that responsibility all on you, like you're going to have no life or nothing, like literally work 24 hours a day. So it's been hard to let go and to delegate, but thank God I've been working on it and I've been pretty successful at it. And it's just been amazing to see, like, it's okay to let go. And yes, the people that you're giving the jobs to, your staff, they might not do it 100% the way that you want. But you know what? Most of the time, it's going to be 90, 95% pretty close. And for that 5% that you might not get, but you're going to get so much more back. Because then you, as the agency owner, can work on the business and not in the business, but also still have your pulse on everything. And when you need to jump in, you can. And it doesn't mean that suddenly I'm not looking at everything. It just means I'm looking at it in a different way than I was before.
I actually feel like that's a huge struggle. The people we kind of come across, of course, like a very early on hire is often a client account manager, and that branch of help can be difficult for some people to just lean into. I can imagine, growing a business from infancy, then expanding and being so big, to kind of let go of it could be difficult for sure. But I think that's very smart of you to mention that necessary. It's definitely necessary.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Or then you're miserable working all the time. That's right. We've seen that too. Hey, Tay?
Yeah. So what's exciting, Danny, at OptEdge? What are you working on? What's coming up in 2022?
Sure. I know this is not going to be like typical agency, but about 2 years ago, in the middle of COVID, I was invited by an organization in New York to give digital marketing training to a group of people. And I basically spoke for 8 weeks, 2 nights a week, teaching people about digital marketing. And that was all based on the university, that, modules and things like that. I recorded everything. And then when I was done, like a month or two later, I'm like, hey, I really need to do something with this. So make a long story short, I launched Audio Academy at the beginning of this year. And it is a part of OptEdge because ODO stands for Optage Digital Education Online. But basically, I've taken my complete university course of 2 semesters and kind of made it down into 15 weeks. And it's a digital marketing fundamentals course with practical application. And right now we're in our middle of our 3rd and 4th cohorts. And it's really been such a huge success. And the way I kind of like to explain it is, like you said, I love to teach, but what it's allowing for our agency is the more successful that program becomes, I feel like the more picky we can be with our clients, right? So I would say another challenge a lot of agencies have, it's like, okay, like we need every client who comes through the door, we need to find a way to work and go them. But in truth, not every client is a good match, right? And it can be for many reasons. It could be who they are, it could be who you are, and there's a lot of pressure to always be at. So I feel like having this other part of the business where it's providing some sort of ongoing income or additional income, it's allowing to change that. And we'll see, like I've already had 2 people recently say like, wow, Danny, you're doing a really great thing. I always wanted to do a course about WordPress. Would you want to do something together on that? And I'm like, maybe, let's talk about it. So I feel like, I don't know if I'm building a platform for additional courses just in digital marketing, but it's definitely something that I'm going to explore. So that's like an exciting part from Odeo. And then going back to like Optage, for a while, I wasn't sure what I wanted. Like sometimes it's okay if you're an agency not want to grow. Like, just say like, I'm happy having 3 people. That's what I want to do. That's what we can handle. And we'll keep going. But I think the past year, tremendously, I have decided, no, like I want to go. I want to grow. I want to see what we can do. I want to not just grow for myself, but also for my employees, because it's their company and it's their livelihood and their future as well. And the way that we can make it grow for everyone is by growing. So we're on full growth mode. So that 2022 is increasing that and seeing how can we keep pushing on the gas.
That's exciting. I really love that perspective of you don't always have to grow. And I think agency owners need to remember that it's your business needs to match your lifestyle. And it doesn't always mean 100 employees or $100,000 a month or whatever that looks like. It has to fit your lifestyle. And I think us agency owners or entrepreneurs need a gut check sometimes to say it's not just what everyone else says that you should do, it's what you want to do. Also, your perspective of it's not just your company anymore, it's your team and it's everyone in it. It's not just you. So I think that's a really cool perspective too.
Cool. And just to add on to that last point, earlier this year, obviously we started working with you guys, but also I hired a fractional COO, and that was earlier on in the year. That was also an amazing blessing that we have. My employees before that were like saying like, Danny, we don't think you can handle it anymore. So we're not sure, and that's going to hurt us as well. Like, what are we going to do, right? So the fact is, yeah, it's not just about you anymore. It's really about everyone, and you have to look out for everyone. What can we do? Because making it easier for me or better for me is really going to make it better for everyone. So just wanted to stress that.
Yeah.
Again.
I like that. That's also a really good perspective of protect you as the agency owner. Make sure you're focused on what you need to be focused on, because it's not just about your own mental health and your own happiness. It's about the success of the business and the team and where you're going. So I like that too.
And the work-life balance. You have a wife now, Danny. I think you have children. Do you?
Yeah, yes. I do.
So sometimes they need attention too. Don't tell my husband.
They need yeah, they need a lot of attention. What's been another blessing is just now we are totally virtual, obviously with COVID and everything. But yeah, like I've been able to be more involved and take my kids to Little League. If I would have been at the office and craziness, I would have only got home like at 7 or 8, and I would have totally missed that opportunity. So yeah, it's so important. You have to have work-life balance. And so you have to put those things in place where it's not all consuming and you still are able to grow a company, even if you're not in it 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure that you set up the right systems and processes and people and so on and so forth.
I love it.
And a quick question. Who is your demographic for Odeo? Who's purchasing that, or who are you working with that are going through that training?
Sure. So I am particularly focusing on women. I have a women-only course. Now, at first, the main initial target was the Orthodox Jewish women community. And the reason is because a lot of them, specifically in like more of the Orthodox community, they don't feel as comfortable being in a mixed environment or course. So even though it's a digital course and it's an online, but I still wanted to make an environment that was very comfortable for them. And a lot of them are supporting the income of their house and their household. And I wanted to provide, getting into digital marketing is something which you don't have to go into the office. You could work from home. So it just matched really, really well. So I would say the primary demographic right now is the ultra Orthodox Jewish women community, but really it's opened to anyone, and especially women who, even if you're not Jewish or ultra Orthodox, but who you like to have to be in that environment where it's like a women's only course, and creating sort of that bond and that friendship with your classmates and creating that future for yourself. It really works for anyone.
And maybe you don't necessarily need any digital marketing experience. You can go from zero to hero with
Exactly.
Odeo.
Yeah, it's people who have no experience. I mean, obviously, if you have a little experience, it's going to help. I'll give you a wonderful example just because I'm so excited about it. The first cohort, we had someone join a week after it started. And she's like, please, can I join? I'm like, okay, you can join. She was in medical billing. And by the end of the course, even before the course was over, she already got a job at a commercial real estate company doing SEO and Google ads at a pretty good salary right off the bat. And I'm not saying that happens to everyone, but it can happen.
It can.
Obviously, it's the individual and how driven you are and what you're going to do, but like it's possible. And she didn't have any experience before. So it's definitely possible.
Cool. So that's definitely a good sort of inside information. So if people are listening, want to level up or need to pivot a little bit, then Odeo is there for them, which is awesome. And where can everybody find such resources? Danny?
If you want to learn more about Odeo, the website is odeoacademy.com.
Perfect.
And Optich.
Yes, and Optich would be optich.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Danny, for coming on. We obviously love working with you and hear such wonderful things. So it's been a pleasure learning more about your background, how you got here, and what is coming up for you and your businesses in 2022. So we're excited to watch you shine and grow, and we'll be here cheering you on.
Super. Thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Cheers to happy clients.